Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today on the Good News Table. My name is Prophet MUNYAH. As usual, I'm coming, but today I've got a special guest by the name Prophet Chapfika. Prophet, welcome to the Good News Table. Prophet, I want you to take me through the course of the journey of your ministry in brief. Has it been easy? Has it been difficult? Has it been a tough walk? How can you describe the walk of your ministry?
Yeah, it's a good question. I want to just quickly say that ministry is not easy. It's not easy at all. You need the grace of God to be in ministry, because it is the grace of God that sustains you to remain in ministry.
We have seen a lot of ministers giving up, surrendering, and going back to what they've been doing before the great call of the ministry. What can you say about that? What might be that which they're getting wrong?
Several times myself, I wanted to quit. There is a time that
You at some point wanted to quit?
Not once.
Several times.
Yes.
Take us through that.
Well, when I received the call, mine was a little bit very precise, because God spoke to me concerning ministry, that I'm going to call you, and God showed me what I was going to face, where I was going to start, and a lot of things. I actually saw my gray hair. Actually, I know where God is taking me to. But
so are you saying God spoke to you? Look, there are so many people that come out there as ministers of the gospel, and they say God spoke to me, and then later on, after 1 or 2 years, they end up closing down, not temporarily but for good. What is it that stabilizes your call as a prophet, and what is it that keeps you going?
I have a spiritual covering. Yeah, I've got my spiritual father who constantly counsels me, stabilizes me. He encourages me. He provides a shoulder for me to lean on. So he is my anchor. He is encouraging me to go. Even sometimes, like I said, that I almost quit several times. Yeah.
And tell us something. You mentioned something to do with a spiritual father, which is your covering, and you also mentioned something to do with inspiration and encouragement during the course of the journey of your ministry. How did it happen? Did you just started by having that spiritual father as your spiritual father, or you at some point walked alone and then later on found a spiritual father?
When I came to the Lord, yes, then I was under a pastor. He is the man who groomed me, was preaching to me, he was teaching me, he introduced me to the Bible. So since then, he was the man who I call my spiritual father. He's the man who identified what God had put in me and was encouraging me to take up the work that God put on my shoulders, and up to this very day.
And the transition, okay, you started with a pastor who raised you and taught you the things of the Bible.
Yes.
And you called that man your spiritual father at that point.
Exactly.
And right now you have another spiritual father. So was it a shift? Was it a change? Was it an elevation? What was it?
I've never changed my pastor.
So he remained the same from that very day?
Yes.
Wow. And what do you say about those that wake up and say, I now have a different spiritual father? What's your view on that? What's your take?
Actually, I don't really understand why people end up changing fathers, or end up changing mentors. Probably there could be some challenges I may not really know, but I've not tested
that change,
that experience.
Okay.
Exactly. I've got one father, the Archbishop Dr. Asa Gurupira, who is the founder of Faith in God Ministries, which I fall under.
Wow. You're talking about a great man, and I can assure you that by you testifying that he is a man who has raised you and walked with you, I can see the lines of his integrity. Yeah. And Prophet, last but not least, I want us to look at this whole issue of spiritual sonship. Mm-hmm. What is the degree of God in that relation of spiritual sonship and spiritual fatherhood?
You see, in the Bible, you see Elijah, who was the spiritual father to Elisha. It was Elisha who identified Elijah. He was doing what he was doing, and he saw Elisha passing by, and then he followed him. He was being discouraged by other sons of the prophets, but he actually saw in Elijah what he really wanted and what he needed. That's why you see him when they cross over River Jordan, and Elijah is taken by the whirlwind. He said, "My father, my father." It was not Elijah who went to Elisha saying, "You are now my son." It was the son who identified
the father.
A father.
Wow, that's so mind-blowing. So the son's responsibility is to identify the father through DNA or through seeing the hidden things in the father and then follow. So it is not the responsibility of a father to follow up sons, but the responsibility of a son to follow up a father.
Exactly. I would like to believe that God would have determined the whole thing, or it will be a setup from God, that when you see the one who is supposed to father you, you will actually know.
You will know.
Your spirit testifies.
Wow.
Both to you and to the father as well, because real fathers, they don't just accept people who come to them saying, "Father me," but there has to be that connection to say that this is it. There must be a bearing in the spiritual bearing in the hearts.
Wow.
Exactly.
Prophet, thank you so much for your time. I want us to look at the programs that are ahead in South Africa, Cape Town. This is a ministry well established and been here for quite some time. Tell me, what are the programs that you have ahead? We are sitting right now in the month of March, which is the third month of the year. Do you have any upcoming programs that you would want our viewers to take note of?
Thank you, Prophet, and thank you, our viewers. We've got a major conference that is coming up starting the 31st of March. This is a conference which I don't want anyone to miss. It's called Kingdom Fellowship for All Conference. We call it CAFA Conference. This is where we gather together and fellowship together with one another, and also with the Holy Spirit. And we do believe that God is going to bless us and catapult us to another level. The speakers that are going to have are seasoned speakers. They are great generals. We are going to have one of the major prophets in Zimbabwe. We are going to have Prophet Dr. Samuel Blessing Chiza together with Prophetess Tatiana Shemaraya Chiza. We are also going to have Evangelist Nick Kutsia from South Africa, who is leading a great ministry here in the Republic. Also, we've got Apostle Edgar Michaels. What a teacher of the word!
Wow!
What a teacher of the word! So, and many others. We've got USA Pastor Cleopas Simbi, who is in Dallas, who is going also to grace the conference. I invite you all to come to our conference. Don't miss. Please tell your friend to tell a friend there is a conference in Cape Town, South Africa.
This is indeed a Don't Miss Conference number 170, Newmarket Street in Woodstock, South Africa, with Prophet Chapfika. See you and heads bowed.